Early Wednesday evening, the Boeing-designed Starliner space capsule landed safely in the New Mexico desert. After a nearly week-long journey to the International Space Station, the vehicles have returned to Earth. This journey created history because it was the first time an American private firm other than SpaceX had successfully reached the International Space Station. However, many issues remain as a result of this flawed mission, and sending astronauts on the next Starliner voyage is highly risky. This is the point at which NASA realizes that the SpaceX Dragon is still a far superior aircraft to the Boeing Starliner. Let's learn everything there is to know about this fascinating topic in today's SpaceX episode. NASA isn't interested in putting all of its eggs in one basket. Unfortunately, NASA is still reliant on SpaceX for the time being. While the Starliner trip to the International Space Station was successful this week, before the next launch, Boeing will have to address a number of difficulties. The mission began with a Florida launch on Thursday evening, and the Starliner, which is built to carry astronauts but is flying without them for this test, docked with the ISS at 8:28 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday night. His ground staff worked through a few glitches, including a software issue that skewed displays, similar to a misplaced GPS map, and the docking took roughly an hour longer than intended. There were also concerns with sensors and docking components that were not moving properly at first. The capsule features a docking ring that pops out as it approaches its port and is used to connect to the International Space Station. Some components did not move into the right arrangement on the first attempt at docking. To get everything in the appropriate spot, ground teams had to repeat the pop-out operation. There was also a little issue with the cooling loops on Starliners, which are part of the system that controls the spacecraft's temperature. All of these difficulties had to be investigated or resolved in order for the Starliner to proceed, and the docking went off without a hitch. It was quite nerve-wracking to watch the truck sit outside until it was time to come in. As he told reporters Friday night, Mark Nappy, Boeing Starliner programmer manager, several other concerns with the spacecraft's onboard thrusters, which steer and orient the vehicle as it travels through space, have loomed over the mission. Shortly after the spacecraft entered orbit, two of the engines shut off prematurely. Later on, a few of additional thrusters developed issues. Shortly after landing, the recovery team discovered hydrazine vapor, a volatile, oily liquid that is hazardous to breath, all around the spaceship. This lingering chemical, which compelled the rescue team to take a break, could have been caused by Starliner not burning off all of its propellants. According to a post-impact briefing, he had no leaks that were discovered. Despite these difficulties, the mission's leadership appears to be upbeat. NASA and Boeing will now thoroughly study and scrutinize the mission data, which will determine the future steps, Stitch told reporters at the briefing. Overall, the issues were minimal in comparison to the difficulties Starliner encountered during its first test launch in 2019, when one software problem led it to consume too much fuel to go to its target, and another almost caused it to be destroyed during re-entry. The vehicle was almost destroyed. The second problem was discovered in time for a patch to be uploaded, and the ship was able to safely arrive at White Sands Space Harbor. This is the same spaceport where the Space Shuttle Columbia was launched. We've landed, and we'll be back on the Starliner on Wednesday. However, when it comes to the crew, even a minor blunder like this can put astronauts' lives in jeopardy. As a result, NASA safety advisors have expressed reservations about the Boeing Starliner. Members of NASA's Independent Safety Advisory Panel warned the space agency earlier this month not to rush a crew test flight of Boeing's troubled Starliner spacecraft, expressing concerns about final certification of the capsule's parachutes and Boeing staffing levels on the programmer, with SpaceX now providing regular crew transportation to the International Space Station. NASA officials had more time to iron out technical issues with the Starliner spacecraft. Nonetheless, NASA is eager to have two crew transportation providers in order to avoid relying on Russia for astronaut trips again and instead employ spacecraft. In the event that SpaceX's current launch is delayed significantly, West stated that NASA managers have given their approval for the oxidizer valve modification for the OFT-2 mission, but that it is unclear whether a valve redesign will be required for subsequent missions after OFT-2. He said, managers also accepted a flight rationale for difficulties with the Starliner command module propulsion system's high-pressure latch valve, a separate issue from the oxidizer valves and the service module. There's also fear that the certification of Boeing parachutes is behind schedule. He also raised a serious programmatic issue with an infinite number of human-rated Atlas. ULA has 5 rockets left in its inventory. ULA still has 24 Atlas V rockets to fly before switching to the less expensive and more powerful Vulcan Centaur rocket. 8 of the 24 rockets have already been assigned to the Starliner programmer, allowing Boeing to meet NASA's contractual requirements for 2 further test flights and 6 operational crew rotation missions to the space station. Then ULA's new Vulcan rocket has not flown yet. Another obstacle is that the Vulcan launch vehicle, which would eventually replace the Atlas V for Starliner launches, must be licensed for human spaceflight, which might take years, according to West. Furthermore, West, a longtime engineering safety manager and examinations director at the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, said that general concerns about NASA and contractor workforce across the agency's human spaceflight programmer are especially relevant in Boeing's case, as the panel has noted that Boeing staffing levels appear to be especially low. West said the panel will keep an eye on the issue in the coming weeks to assess what influence, if any, it might have on the existence or mitigation of any safety risks. While we don't want to see an undue haste to launch the CFD, Boeing should make sure that all available resources are put to good use in order to reach a reasonable schedule and minimize avoidable delays, as stated in the Waste. Mark Servangelo, another member of the safety group, said, "We are certainly behind the idea of delaying launching until it's ready till all safety has been taken care of." He went on to say that if the delays are due to a lack of resources being committed to the programmer, it will have a huge influence on the NASA plan for returning to the moon, as well as many other things that would result from the delays. In terms of when the flight will take place, Stitch stated that NASA and Boeing are trying to have the hardware ready by the end of the year. He did admit, though, that it was possible that it would happen in the first quarter of next year, should they conduct another test. Let us know what you think in the comments area. That's all there is to it for today. Your encouragement inspires us to create more high-quality material. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.